It is a beautiful Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. It is 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I am Ross Skorzewski, your host of the Dr. Patrick Flynn Show. Super excited about today's show. Today, 30 minutes intentional, guided journey as we talk about topics concerning health, business, personal development, and more, all with the purpose of being able to give you the information to have an engaged and informed conversation with the naysayers and your life. And I promise you, today is going to be one of those days where we get under your skin, and because the topics we're bringing, Doc.
The hate mail is coming after today.
I can't wait for it. So with that, talk to me, boss. How have you been?
Doing awesome. Get to fly out to Nashville today. Actually, as soon as we're done the show, I'm gonna head over to the Green Bay Airport. I gotta fly down south and actually get some good weather because it's been a little cold here.
Yeah, but there's a really good reason why you're going there. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. You want to mark your calendars, take some notes, because what is happening?
10:30 tomorrow morning, I'll be on Dr. Josh Axe's Facebook Live that way, going through some good hormone stuff that way. So down there, going to have a good time with Josh. It's going to be a wonderful time. So I get to be on his live show that way, and he broadcasts to a lot of people. Absolutely. So as we continue to actually bring our message to across the world, people are starting to recognize and take notice that way. And the information we give, for example, yes, it may drive you a little nuts sometimes, but as you wrestle with it and fight with it, guess what? You're going to find out that you're going to come to a lot of the same conclusions we do.
Absolutely.
And today, after reading the question, I'm like, oh my goodness. All right.
I can't wait.
Because we had to move something towards a child this time, that way, the question.
I know it.
And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, that question, it's going to be, yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
It's a good thing. So, yeah.
Dr. Josh Axe tomorrow, so there's going to be a link on there that Brandon, our man sitting over there at Control Central, will put up for you. So make sure tomorrow at 10:30
Central Time.
Central Standard Time in the morning that you go to Dr. Josh Axe Facebook page and you watch that. Also, real quick, I want to just thank you, those of you who have continued to join us in this journey. We are on episode 4. So that means 1 month in where we have been intentionally bringing you content that's kind of, I don't know, maybe just canvassing a lot of topics, but we're excited about the up and coming episodes. But thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Continue to share.
And over 500 questions already.
I know, 500 questions. That's awesome. So we've got a lot of content. And, you know, one of the things...
So keep sending them, though.
Yeah, send them. And you want to do that at Ask Dr. Patrick Flynn at twwclinics.com.
Are you sure it's not Ask Dr. Patrick?
Did I put Flynn in there?
You put Flynn in there.
I don't know. Then just go to Ask Dr.
It's raw,
Patrick.
remember, it's not staged.
Raw. So here, one real quick thing. One thing that we like to do is really kind of draw attention to who we are as the Wellness Way. There's so many people that make up this family. So a real quick shout out to Thomas and Laura Hemgren of our Iron Mountain, Michigan office.
Yes.
2 great individuals.
Known them for a long time. Amazing docs. They're up in Iron Mountain.
Making a difference.
Oh, they're amazing. And the nice thing, it's kind of cool because we get to see them, and next week we get to golf with them. Well, I do. You understand? So, because Dr. Sampson is flying in from our Montana office and hanging out, and so we're going to actually do a little golf up there in Michigan with Dr. Thomas and some of that. So, and
let's also just draw attention to another amazing individual that we have come to love as a part of our family, Alicia. She's a PA in our Colorado Springs office.
Alicia, she's awesome.
She is awesome.
She's a great lady.
And here, real quick though, a PA in the Wellness Way model. What is that? Come on.
It doesn't matter what background you are, you know, and we're going to talk about tomorrow because Josh Axe has a following of, just like we do, of all health professionals. But as long as your thinking starts to change and how you approach a patient that way, it comes down to, it doesn't matter what health profession you are. It doesn't matter if you're a massage therapist, a medical doctor, a PA, a nurse practitioner, a chiropractor, and I love having my chiropractic education, but what really got me to really create the Wellness Way and Wellness Way approach is how I thought about it. And then the majority of the doctors that started to come on, it didn't matter what their background was. It said, listen, this makes sense. And the conclusions are still the end result that we are so proud of. The clinical results and the application that we get. That's what I wish, like I said, I wish we were so popular because we were so darn good looking. Maybe that's why we get some of them. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? But it really comes down to, I'd watch you too. Okay. But the clinical results are what matters the most. That's why people watch the show. They want to have answers. Now, today,
let's
you want to get into it because it's going to be a fun one, and I'll tell you why after you answer the question.
But it's going to be fun. It's going to be irritating. I promise you this. It's going to challenge your current paradigm in the way that you think, and it's even challenged us. But this question that was sent in was from a gal who wrote asking this: is it necessary to have a pediatrician involved in the care of her children's lives?
No. Next question.
And we'll leave it right there. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.
So let me say this, okay, because here's where the controversy comes up. If all of a sudden you start and you only feed your kids organic, and you go to a family member's house, just because you choose something different, they automatically assume that you think they're a bad parent.
Yes.
So let me say that again, because when you start making different choices with people that way, when they make different choices, they say, you don't have to say a darn thing. You don't have to comment on anything whatsoever. Just by you making healthier choices, other people, especially mothers, sorry moms, but you do this the most, is the fact that you start judging those other moms that, well, she thinks she's better and this is, and moms come to me and say, I never said a darn thing.
Right.
It's just that what we choose to do with our family, and so therefore, so that's the thing. So on this question, here's another thing that way. And I'll step back and I'll say this quite now. There's no doctor, with the exception of Dr. Jason, Dr. Greg, Dr. Kelly, Dr. Jesse, myself, that has ever seen my children.
Right.
Now, if you even go back in history, and here's the one thing that really irritates people. So people say, Doc, do you know a holistic pediatrician? And I just want to laugh. Okay? There is no such thing. Even if they call themselves, it's two mental different thinkings and processes that way. And if you do find a pediatrician that actually thinks more like us, they are so far away from what they're originally taught, they're not even really a pediatrician.
Right.
So let me say it again. Their thinking has changed so much. Like if you have a, because really I'm going to say this, I'll make it very clear, okay, is the majority. So for the 3 that are not this way, okay, because just to make my point, because there's always the exception. For the 3 that are not this way, guess what happens? The majority of things that pediatricians do is one thing: vaccinations. Vaccinations.
That's another hot topic.
Oh, we're going to cover that intensely. But vaccinations, with the and they become actually a vaccine-induced pushing doctor. See, and then people say, Doc, can you do what? I need a pediatrician. For what? You going to vaccinate your kids? No. So what do you need it for? To weigh your baby? If anything, you can go to a general practitioner to do any of those things. And most people say, well, I kind of laugh about this too. What the heck does a pediatrician know about a well visit? They don't know what a well baby is.
I have no idea.
Do you understand? And so I'm sitting there going, I started to watch this and go, and I started to question, and I know people right now are probably typing, so, oh, Doc, my pediatrician's really good. Good at what? Do an exam? You can have it done by multiple doctors.
Yes.
You can bring them to your OB and they could do an exam on a child. Testing can be done by anybody that way. So that's why, for example, it's like, and so people ask the question, see, people want this. They want their current healthcare model, and they want our stuff to meld into it with 2 different
They're not
thinkings.
congruent at all.
Ladies, you're going to drive yourself a baddie. Don't come to me and say, my pediatrician says this, and I'm a bad mom. Well, you walked into his world about what he's taught by pharmaceutical companies. You know what I'm saying? By vaccine companies that way.
Indeed.
So your pediatrician is going to push it. You experienced yourself when you had your baby.
It was actually within a day of my daughter being born. Did I not tell you that the pediatrician was in my wife's room while I was with my daughter in another room, and she was telling us that she had to have the vaccination for, like I said, I don't know if it's Hep B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. I don't know. But the weight limit wasn't even, we said no, and she lost her mind, and I fired her on the spot.
That's right. Parents, they're your children. Do you see what I'm saying? And the end result, and that's why I like to tell people, people should have the choice that they want to do. It's really funny. You talk about politics. I fight for people's right to choose.
Yes.
I don't want anybody ever eat a Snickers bar. But guess what? I fight for your right to be able to do it that way.
You ever want to get away?
But don't walk in, just not with a Snickers bar, okay?
Right.
But don't walk into the pediatrician's office and expect to change their thinking or ask, say, listen, do we know anybody? Because a pediatrician has to totally transform their process and thinking to not do it. And on top of it, then they're really not even a pediatrician anymore. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like walking into the school systems and people say, Doc, we have to fight to change our school food. Do you understand? I'm not saying that can't be done. But do you understand you have to change the whole federal government laws to do it that way? Funding and everything that way. Why don't you just not send your kids to public school? Or why don't you send them with your own lunch?
There you go.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Be a little proactive.
Yeah, because I know
Take initiative.
we got a couple questions about this, and we're going to cover this probably in, let's say, 2 or 3 shows. But we had a question about this when people say, well, Doc, I'm in California now, and every publicly funded thing from the government requires vaccination for schools and everything like that. Okay, so don't be involved in their programs.
Correct.
Do
you have a choice.
You have a choice, guys. So when I made my choice, and the patients that we take care of make their choice, for example, it's not saying that they don't have a doc. My kids get examined. My kids, it's kind of cool. 2 weeks ago, were in the blood draw room screaming like, Callista was screaming like crazy. Why? Because she's getting her testing done. Got her new food allergy test done.
Yes.
You know, my girls do their hormone testing, all of them. They get tests on a regular basis, but by our docs that way. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so, do you need a pediatrician? Nope. Nope. And I know it's going to tick a lot of people off because by just me
Even your
saying that,
family, it's going to tick them off.
by just, heck yeah, okay. Well, not my direct family, my mom and dad, because they know what I do with the kids and stuff like that. But think about this. But people, just by me saying it on the show today, they're going to say, I feel like a worse parent because I took them there. Don't. You know what I'm saying? But what happens is what I'm trying to say is this. The question was, do you need one? Answer, no.
No.
But remember this. If you do use one and go in there, just remember, you're in control. It's not their child.
Yes.
And what they give you is mainly opinions. And then what they do is they use fear to perpetuate everything that way.
And really, when we've taken, our son, before we really came into this whole paradigm and challenged the way we approach healthcare, I honestly don't know, while doing those yearly checkups, what having the pediatrician was really there for, other than going in and doing an annual or biannual checkup. And then they ask us questions if we have any concerns.
And when we were kids, Eric, you went to the family doctor.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You went to the family doctor and stuff. And so that's why the whole profession of specialists and pediatricians have become specialized. And the pediatrician's main specialty is push vaccines at a high level.
Correct.
But it is.
Now, remember, though, I love this because, you come out and everybody's going to hear this and they're going to think you're anti-conventional, you're anti-this, you're anti-that. But you're not. You believe that there is still a place for the emergency concept.
Sure. People say, well, doc, if I don't have a pediatrician, what happens? If you even think about any situation your child gets into, that's what we have hospitals for.
Correct.
Let's have emergency for it.
Yes.
If your daughter breaks her arm, pediatrician ain't gonna do crap anyways.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So if you give me any scenario, for example, where you're gonna say, doc, my child got a really bad infection. Good, go to the emergency room. Their practitioners can take care of that child just as good as the pediatrician can and stuff like that. And on top of it, you're gonna find out that happens anyways, because the pediatrician, for example, with the exception of, when something bad comes on to a child anyways, it comes on quick.
Yes.
And so they end up going to the emergency room anyways that way.
Yes.
See, so that's why people say, well, doc, if it happened with your kids, would you go to the emergency room? Sure. That's what they're good at. Remember.
Absolutely.
And understanding the role of medicine, for example, in their ability to, handle a fire, a situation that would, where it can it'd be detrimental to a person's life is great. That's what they're good at. But if you think you're going to be healthy going to any of that system, you're living in a freaking fantasy world.
Yes.
See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And see what happens is, and then your pediatricians are acting like, ask your doc, what is a well baby? Ask him.
What is a well baby?
He'll be clueless.
Yep.
He doesn't even know. I mean, my goodness, you know what I'm saying? Start asking your pediatrician questions, and all they do is turn around and use fear, and research says. No, your research comes from people that pay you to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't tell me about this drug. And every vaccine, every drug has been changed so many times because of the massive detriment to human existence.
Absolutely.
And stuff like that. So, yes.
This is going to stir the pot. And if you do have any comments that are not congruent with what he just put out there, send them.
Yeah.
Because we'll respond to it.
Sure.
I mean, this is part of this whole dialogue that we're creating here. Not everybody's going to agree with what's coming from this platform.
Do you know when they agree? Here's what happens.
When they're
sick.
Yes.
I love this. It's really funny. This is one thing I'm going to say. I've never said this, but I always tell people criticism doesn't bother me at all. You can say, doc, I think this, and this, and this.
Yes.
That's okay. I will have a debate with you. It's fine. But here's what happens. The end result is they're debating an emotional issue.
Absolutely.
They're not debating what really happens in truth. What they're doing is, well, my doc, I don't care. Then continue down that path. Happens all the time. Happens
How's it
to our
working
offices.
for you?
Actually, just had a great conversation with one of our docs about this, okay? And the fact was this, is a patient actually came there, and remember, Dr. Gray even told the story last week.
Yes.
A woman came in, her cardiologist said this test didn't be needed. She never came back. Guess what happens eventually? They all come back.
They get sick.
Because as they continue to get sick, they start losing faith in a doctor that they had so much faith in.
For how many years even?
Oh, I've had people show up 5 years later and go, I wish I would have done this now. Okay, but and you know something, and you bring them back with the big open arms and the big kiss and stuff like that, and because you know that you're bombarded since you were little. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, see, that's why I said the emotional responses we're going to get where people are like, doc, you say we don't need a pediatrician? Yeah,
Exactly.
That's an emotional response. If you want to walk through it, I can show you what you can do.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? But it's an emotional response. It's not based on what you can really do. So,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Once again, giving the information so that you can be able to hop on to that platform and have an engaged,
Make a choice.
actual factual conversation with those naysayers. Hey, let's dive into topic number 2. Once again, just real quick here, for those of you who are watching live, if you hear us bring up episodes that we are referring to, whether it's episode 1, 2, 3, or 4, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can catch up on episodes 1, 2, 3, even today for at a later time, and you can just follow up. So, because what we're going to do right now is an actual follow-up to episode 2, where we had a young guy write in asking you what was the number one key to your success, and you talked about surrounding yourself
with the best people.
With the best people, because that idea, that kind of brainchild of yours, wasn't able to be actually executed just by yourself.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
His question was, how do you choose the right people to surround yourself with? Episode 2, folks.
Good question.
I know, right?
You know, it's really funny. It's kind of like this. Let's take it to the relationship one. You know, it's like women, teach on hormones that way. Women are just in, I just want to find that perfect guy. Ladies, you're going to be single the rest of your life.
Unless, but we're already taken.
Yes. Yes, but our wives will say this. Our wives will say this directly. Here's my quote, and this is what happens. I said this, and I actually kind of when you said the question, I blurted this out, had to write it down so I didn't forget it. Good people are not found, they're developed. They're developed.
Yes.
That doesn't matter if it's a relationship with me and my wife, or you and your wife, or any future relationship you have. Is if you think you're going to walk into any relationship, personal or business, and find exactly what you want, guess what happens? You're living in a fantasy world. Sometimes the people who have the greatest degrees, education-wise, are the worst because they already think they're at a top level.
Yes. They've arrived.
Do you understand? Living in the world of doctors. Oh my goodness,
grief.
the amount of arrogance in any profession. I'm talking medical, chiropractic.
The headroom has already been consumed.
They get their degree and they think they've already earned a 6-figure salary. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You understand? And see, so what happens is this, though. But if you have a person that is a learned person, and what I mean by that is always willing to grow. That's why I have a saying. And anybody in my companies will tell you this. If you don't grow, what happens?
You go.
You go. Because a growth, for example, is two people coming together and growing together and developing. And so I will take a person. Let me give you an example. 2 of the largest companies I own are 2 CEOs. They're women. Okay? Guess what their college education is? They don't have one.
Same as
they
mine.
They don't have one.
Correct.
And these 2 ladies, I will put them up against anybody.
No doubt.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I agree.
They are, but what happened was this. They had the desire to grow. They had a desire, and what happens is this. So you can take, if you're a business person or even relationship person, look at the character. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And you can look at and going, okay, listen, if you can really pick out the gifts in them, and then you can work together and develop, guess what happens?
Yes.
You can have rock stars.
If you have to embrace them, you cannot be offended by them. You cannot repel them. Because if you bring someone like me, like you've always said, who has a great deal of skill sets, what if you stifle those skill sets?
I'm going to give you a perfect example.
I'm going to leave.
She's probably going to kill me. But Dr. Stacy, who I went to school with, she's down in Illinois. Hi, Dr. Stacy. What happens is this. She has always been an amazing lady. I've known her since college. She's amazing. We went to school together. And then when she came on the Wellness Way about a year ago that way, and guess what? And I just said, we're going to start to live life together and pour into each other and develop.
Build a life together.
And she has just blossomed like crazy. She's not only she had a heart, but believe it or not, what happens, I apologize, but she didn't have the guidance to get her to a high level. Now she's at such a high level. See, so the character was there.
Yes.
But it takes develment. And no joke, it's like find somebody that you can, even in a relationship-wise, women come to you and say, Doc, you understand women. Let me say this again, okay? Because out of 100 emails, probably 50 of them, or out of 500 emails, probably 50 of them said, Doc, you really understand women. No, I don't. No, I don't. I understand how their body works, and I understand how it affects them psychologically. And what happens is, so therefore, it's been a little easier for me to connect with them because I understand how they think. You know what I'm saying? And how their emotions and everything work that way. So then when I talk to them that way, I say, listen, we can move in a direction to help you develop and grow. And then it doesn't matter, for example, if they have a college degree. It doesn't matter if they just come out of high school. It doesn't matter if they do have a college degree that way. You can take some of the smartest people that have major degrees, and they can't make their way out of a paper bag.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
But they have this education, and it actually sometimes stifles their growth. Now, I'm not against education. I'm really not.
Sure.
But guess what? I love that quote. I had to write it down because I'm going to use this one. So, hey, Brandon, we got to make a page. We got to make a quote on this one.
Yep.
Good people are not found; they're developed. So if you have a company, or even if you're a manager, okay, of a company that you don't own that way. If you just have a person that wants to grow and develop that way, you can create a rock star.
Yes.
You really can. Yes. The people that walk in and know everything, guess what happens? Those are the people don't hire. They'll be the biggest pain in the hinder that way. And I myself, for example, have committed to everybody that knows me, including my wife, is the fact that I'm on a constant path of learning. You know what I'm saying? And constant path of growth.
You never arrive.
I want to be better 1 year from now than I am today. I will want to look back and say, I'm a better person. I've worked on myself. I've done myself. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better dad. I want to be a better doctor. I want to be a better business person that way. So it's that I've committed myself to be a lifelong learner.
But you also are very intentional with surrounding yourself with people who embrace that same approach. Because what good does it do you to have somebody that's not willing to dream with you, that's not willing to grow with you, that's not willing to hold you accountable?
That's right.
You need to have these people in your life that you can really see yourself with next 5 to 10 years and grow with them.
And if you personally right now own a company, if you personally are a manager of somebody and you can look and you can't find those special gifts in that person, fire everybody. You think I'm joking? I've done it. I have. I remember young in my career, I walked in and stuff like that, and I had several doctors and stuff like that who actually, it's not a joke, who have failed miserably after here. Do you understand?
Sure.
Because I recognize that going, oh my goodness, they already think they're at the top of the mountain, and I'm on a constant learning path that way. And I walked in, and I literally said, okay, guys, I'm going to Colorado. I had a seminar I do for a week out there. I said, by the time I'm coming back, I want all of you guys gone except for one staff member. And we were already a massive, huge office. And this is like 10 years ago, okay? And I'm like, and no joke, because I saw and so that's where the learning process, I saw in them a place of arrogance and not growth. And I said, guys, listen, you're all fired. And it shocked them.
Yep.
And I guarantee they still don't like me today. It's stuff of that. But then all of a sudden, guess what? Then I started to really look at the gifts that are people that I said, now start to surround myself with amazing people that wanted to grow. And obviously, the Wellness Way took off from there from like crazy, even though the care never changed.
Sure. Everybody you hire, though, isn't always going to work out.
No, but you could get, but I would tell you this, though.
You can refine that process.
You refine that process as you start to really, look at a person and where they want to go in their life. And here's what happens. It's interesting. I'm giving a secret away, and I shouldn't do this right now. But if a person ever comes to
me... For $19.95, send your text to...
If a person ever comes to me and says, here's what I can bring to you, I've already shut down.
Right.
I've already shut down. I really do. Because I'm going, what you bring me? No, listen, we need to grow together. We need to, there's things that you need to learn to actually get to a high level that way and stuff like that. And it's like going, listen, and you don't even know everything about the company. You may have an interest in it, you may things, but there's so many things that you need to learn. And it's like, instead of saying what I can bring, you wouldn't have the interview if I didn't think you could bring something that way.
Right.
And you want a teachable spirit that way. So, yes.
But let me ask you this. So I'm going to take this just a little bit of a step farther, because there are people who will surround themselves with people, but if there is that one individual that they really need to let go of, do you know how hard that is for some people?
Yeah, fire them.
Yeah, it's easy for you, just a simple black and white. You're gone.
Yeah.
But some people hold on to that individual because there is an emotional connection, because they don't want to offend or hurt or bring this unnecessary ending into that person's life, and they perpetuate their own misery.
You give them the constant reminder. If you don't grow, you go. If you don't grow, you go. It's inevitable. You need to grow. Without growth, all companies, you can never get higher than the lowest employee.
True story.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. You think I'm joking? For you guys that don't know, if you clean the floors here, if you're a cleaning person, or if you're a doctor, guess what? You're all expected to grow.
Yes.
And they all do and stuff. So, yeah. So remember, good people are not found, they're developed.
I love it.
And what happens is this, and we have developed some of the best leaders and some of the best people in healthcare. And like I said, and the two CEOs, for example, never graduated college, never went to college, stuff like that. So,
yep. Would even encourage you even this, that if you're in an environment, though, that isn't encouraging you to grow, man.
Yeah.
I'd be looking for a different place.
Yes, because what happens is you'll get stagnant.
Yes, you will.
So that's why leadership is so important. Management is leaving. It is.
Yes.
Management is going. Micromanagement of people that way has now left. That old mindset is starting to leave, and it's going to continue to leave that way. So
absolutely.
Yes.
Right,
so we got one more question.
We do. It's another follow-up, and this is going to actually take us to last week's when we're talking about the episode 3, where there was a lady that wrote in who had a question in regards to sex drive and the fact that she did not have a high sex drive, so wondering if she should be led to a place where she gets her hormones tested. Well, we had a follow-up response, and it's simply this. Hello, Dr. Patrick. I just finished watching your show. For those of you watching now, that would be episode 3. From last Tuesday, and it kind of hit me hard, and it has me worried. I'm one of the 1% of women that you talked about that has a high sex drive like my husband. She goes, I enjoy this fact. I'm sure he does too.
Yeah.
But your words now have me worried that I should get tested to ensure that nothing is wrong with me hormonally. Here's the kicker. She says, I have PCOS.
That's the kicker.
And have been managing it with diet for some time. But I don't think it's an issue of excess testosterone, but it could be. Could I be wrong? Should I get tested? Thanks for your response, LJ.
But see, here's one thing. See, it's really interesting. Do you understand if you ask the average person, are you healthy? And they'll say yes.
Sure.
If I ask everyone your listeners right now, are you healthy? They'll say yes. I ask people have cancer, and they say, well, with the exception of cancer, I'm pretty healthy.
Right.
And I'm like going, what fantasy world are you living in? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But see, because the word health has been bastardized so much. So let's go back to this. For example, she has PCOS. So let me say this. You have hormonal problems. Do you see what I'm saying? Except your doctor will never test beyond, if they're lucky, your testosterone levels. Got to remember, we talk so much about estrogen, testosterone, but guess what? There's so many different hormones that way. There's another hormone that's a major contributor to PCOS. It's called dihydrotestosterone. Most women that suffer from PCOS, they read it, but their doctor never measures it because they have no treatment for it that way. So you need to get that measured, but you need to get the whole conglomerate. You should never, remember, even though we're males and you're female that way, we will get our hormones tested the same. Now, what I mean by the same is this. It might be by urine or blood. It could even be saliva that way. But the idea is this. You still test them completely that way so you have a global picture of what's going on. So it's imperative because managing the condition does not mean that it's normal. See, it's like people say, I love this when Dr. Jason gets so frustrated with this. People say, I've got my diabetes under control. Well, what does that mean? That means you still have it.
Yes.
And it's going to progressively get worse as your body gets weaker and stuff like that. So once again, young lady, what was your initials? LJ. You need to get that hormone test done immediately.
Absolutely.
Well, now when you have PCOS, you should get, I will say this right out, you should get the Dutch test done. And you should get a complete blood panel done of it that way.
Absolutely.
And your doctor won't recommend either one of them because he doesn't know what to do with them. I think I'm joking. Once again, I'm excited to I get more calls now from actually medical professionals than I do from chiropractic professionals anymore. And stuff because they're going, it's not working. Patients are getting frustrated. You're getting results. See, it all comes back to that, guys. Out of all the frustration from the first question, everything like that, if you're searching for what you've been suffering for so long and your health going the wrong direction, one of our clinics do amazing work. It's hard to be not plugged in.
Yes.
I mean, I can tell you right now, it's like, I just had a great conversation with Dr. Ryan Gunyon out in Portland. I mean, just the amount of amazing stories. He's so jacked up. I love talking to Dr. Andrew McGuire in Milwaukee and Metquon that way, and just hearing the great stories that way and stuff. And we were just chatting about them this past week and everything. So it's just, that's the biggest thing that I want to put by. This woman needs to get tested properly.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, here's what happens. You know this, LJ, right?
Yep.
You know this. You see this. If it's not dealt with, what does it turn into? Cancer. It does. Don't believe me. You've read enough. I guarantee you read enough about that way. So we've left our system, our healthcare system, into this perpetuation of deal and manage till you're so darn severe, and then you're so darn scared. You listen to every specialist, not because of education, because of fear, and that's why you're struggling a little bit that way. Get properly tested and figure out where it's coming from. Because guess what, guys? When I'm on Josh's show tomorrow, I'm gonna talk about telling people to say, listen, what made me the hormone whisperer? What made our wellness way, and it's kind of funny. I would say we got little hormone whisperers all over the country, all of our clinics.
True.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They're just a hormone whisperer, just like I am that way. But what happened is we figured out where everybody else has not. We have.
Yes, we have.
And that's why our clinical results are amazing. That's why we can sit there and give testimonials like crazy. You did an art testimonial for one of Dr. Jason's patients yesterday.
And she waited 15 years.
15 years.
15 years. It brought her to a place of great frustration,
And
emotional stress, and sickness. And when she did the testimonial, she was brought to tears because it was something where she actually got what we talk about, the clinical results. She's actually able to get back to a place of normal function, doing life with her family, responding in the way that she wants to as a mother, as a wife, as a contributing member in society, and she does not feel like her best days are behind her.
Not anymore. Actually, it's interesting, and I know we got a minute left. It's sad when women will come in here at 60 years old and say, Doc, guess what happens? I'm doing better now than I have in the last 20 years.
You bet.
They lost a big chunk of their life because of illness. So guys, thank you so much for listening today.
Yes,
and
this episode, honestly, we know it's going to ruffle your feathers, but please, I hope it does to some degree, because all of this is meant to challenge the way that you think and approach healthcare. If you have questions, like I said earlier in the show, please continue to send them to askdrpatrick@twwclinics.com. Make sure that you tune in every Tuesday from 12 p.m. Central Standard Time to 12:30, and please continue to like and share this episode. Today is going to be one for the archives. I promise you this. We will see you next week. Your host, Ross. We'll see you then.